Cantos 51 to 56 of Book 5 of the Ramayana of Valmiki, translated by Ralph T. H. Griffith. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Om123. Canto 51. Hanuman's Reply. My King Sugriva greets thee fair, and bids me thus his rede declare. Son of the god of wind, by name Hanuman, to this isle I came. To set the mortal lady free, I crossed the barrier of the sea. I roamed in search of her, and found her weeping in that lovely ground. Thou in the law of duty trained, who hast by stern devotion gained this wondrous wealth and power and fame, shouldst fear to wrong another's dame. Hear thou my counsel, and be wise. No fiend nor dweller in the skies can bear the shafts by Lakshman shot, or Rama when his wrath is hot. O giant king, repent the crime, and soothe him while there yet is time. Now be the mortal queen restored, uninjured, to her sorrowing lord. Soon wilt thou rue thy dire mistake. She is no woman but a snake, whose very deadly bite will be the ruin of thy house and thee. Thy pride has led thy thoughts astray, that fancy not a hand may slay the monarch of the giants, screened from mortal blow of god and fiend. Sugriva still thy death may be, no yaksha, fiend, or god is he. And Rama from a woman springs, the mortal seed of mortal kings. Oh, think how Bali fell subdued, think on thy slaughtered multitude. Respect those brave and strong allies, consult thy safety, and be wise. I, even I, no helper need, to overthrow with car and steed thy city Lanka half divine. The power, but not the will, is mine. For Raghu's son before his friend, the banner monarch, swore to end with his own conquering arm the life of him who stole his darling wife. Turn and be wise, O Ravan, turn, or thou wilt see thy Lanka burn, and with thy wives, friends, kith and kin, be ruined for thy senseless sin. Canto 52. Division Speech. Then Ravan spake with flashing eye, "Hence is the banner, let him die." Vibhishan heard the stern behest, and pondered in his troubled breast. Then, trained in arts that soothe and please, addressed the king in words like these: "Revoke, my lord, thy fierce decree, and hear the words I speak to thee. Kings wise and noble never condemn to death the envoys sent to them. Such deed the world's contempt would draw on him who breaks the ancient law. Observe the mean where justice lies, and spare his life, but still chastise." Then forth the tyrant's fury broke, and thus in angry words he spoke: "O hero, when the wicked bleed, no sin or shame attends the deed. The banner's blood must needs be spilt, the penalty of heinous guilt." Again Vibhishan made reply: "Nay, hear me, for he must not die. Hear the great law the wise declare, thy foeman's envoy thou shalt spare. It is true he comes an open foe, it is true his hands have wrought us woe. But law allows thee, if thou wilt, a punishment to soothe the guilt. The mark of shame, the scourge, the brand, the shaven head, the wounded hand. Yea, where the banner envoy slain, where king of giants, where the gain. On them alone, on them who sent the message, be the punishment. For spake he well, or spake he ill, he spake obedient to their will. And if he perish, who can bear thy challenge to the royal pair? Who crossed the ocean and inside thy death-doomed enemies to fight? Canto 53. The Punishment. King Ravan, by his pleading moved, the counsel of the chief approved. Thy words are wise and true. To kill an envoy would beseem us ill. Yet must we for his crime invent some fitting mode of punishment. The tale, I fancy, is the part most cherished by a monkey's heart. Make ready, set his tail aflame, and let him leave us as he came, and thus disfigured and disgraced, back to his king and people haste. The giants heard their monarch's speech, and, filled with burning fury, each brought strips of cotton cloth, and round the monkey's tail the bandage wound. As round his tail the bands they drew, his mighty form dilating grew, vast as the flame that bursts on high, where trees are old and grass is dry. Each band and strip they soaked in oil, and set on fire the twisted coil. Delighted as they viewed the blaze, the cruel demons stood at gaze, and mid loud drums and shells rang out the triumph of their joyful shout. They pressed about him thick and fast, as through the crowded streets he passed, observing with attentive care each rich and wondrous structure there, still heedless of the eager cry that rent the air, "The spy, the spy!" Some to the captive lady ran, and thus in joyous words began: "That copper-visaged monkey he, who in the garden talked with thee, through Lanka's town is led a show, and round his tail the red flames glow." The mournful news the lady heard, that with fresh grief her bosom stirred. Swift to the kindled fire she went, and prayed before it reverent. "If I my husband have obeyed, and kept the ascetic vows I made, free, ever free, from stain and blot, oh, spare the banner, harm him not." Then leapt on high the flickering flame, and shone in answer to the dame. The pitying fire its rays forbore, the banner felt the heat no more. Then to minutest size reduced, the bonds that bound his limbs he loosed, and freed from every band and chain, rose to his native size again. He seized a club of ponderous weight, that lay before him by the gate, rushed at the fiends that hemmed him round, and laid them lifeless on the ground. Through Lanka's town again he strode, and viewed each street and square and road, still wreathed about with harmless blaze, a sun engarlanded with rays. Canto 54. The Burning of Lanka. What further deed remains to do, to vex the Rakshas king anew? The beauty of his grove is marred, killed are the bravest of his god. The captains of his host are slain, but forts and palaces remain. Swift is the walk and light the toil, each fortress of the foe to spoil. Reflecting thus his tail ablaze, as through the cloud red lightning plays, he scaled the palaces and spread the conflagration where he sped. From house to house he hurried on, and the wild flames behind him shone. Each mansion of the foe he scaled, and furious fire its roof assailed, till all the common ruin shared, the vision's house alone was spared. From blazing pile to pile he sprang, and let his shout of triumph rang, as roars the doomsday cloud when all the worlds in dissolution fall. The friendly wind conspired to fan the hungry flames that leapt and ran, and spreading in their fury caught the gilded walls with pearls inwrought, till each proud palace reeled and fell, as falls a heavenly citadel. Loud was the roar the demons raised, mid walls that split and beams that blazed, as each with vain endeavour strove to stay the flames in house or grove. The women with dishevelled hair flocked to the roofs in wild despair, shrieked out for succour, wept aloud, and fell like lightning from a cloud. He saw the flames ascend and curl round turquoise, diamond, and pearl, while silver floods and molten gold from ruined wall and lattice rolled. As fire grows fiercer as he feeds on wood and grass and crackling reeds, so Hanuman the ruin-eyed with fury still unsatisfied. Canto 55. Fear for Sita. But other thoughts resumed their sway, when Lanka's town in ruin lay, and as his bosom felt their weight, he stood awhile to meditate. What have I done? He thought with shame. Destroyed the town with hostile flame. O happy day, whose firm control checks the wild passion of the soul, who on the fires of anger throw the cooling drops that check their glow. But woe is me, whom wrath could lead to do this senseless, shameless deed. The town to fire and death I gave, nor thought of her I came to save. Doomed by my own rash folly, doomed to perish in the flames consumed. If I, when anger drove me wild, have caused the death of Janak's child, the kindled flame shall end my woe, or the deep fires that burn below. All my forsaken cause shall be food for the monsters of the sea. How can I meet Sugriva? How, before the royal brothers bow? I, whose rash deed has madly foiled the noble work in which we toiled. Or has her own bright virtue shed its guardian influence round her head? She lives untouched, the peerless dame. Flame has no fury for the flame. The very fire would never consent to harm a queen so excellent, the high-souled Rama's faithful wife, protected by her holy life. She lives, she lives. Why should I fear for one whom Raghu's sons hold dear? Has not the pitying fire that spared the banner for the lady cared? Such were his thoughts. He pondered long, and fear grew faint and hope grew strong. Then round him heavenly voices rang, and sweetly tuned his praises sang. O glorious is the exploit done by Hanuman the wind god's son. The flames over Lanka's city rise, the giant's home in ruin lies. Over roof and wall the fires have spread, nor harm the hair of Sita's head. Canto 56. Mount Arishta. He looked upon the burning waste, then sought the queen in joyous haste. With words of hope consoled her heart, and made him ready to depart. He scaled Arishta's glorious steep, whose summits beetled over the deep. The woods, in varied beauty dressed, hung like a garland round his crest. The clouds of ever-changing hue a robe about his shoulders drew. On him the rays of morning fell, to wake the hill they loved so well, and bid unclose those splendid eyes that glittered in his mineral dyes. He woke to hear the music made by thunders of the white cascade, while every laughing rill that sprang from crag to crag its carol sang. For arms he lifted to the stars his towering stems of deodars, and morning heard his pealing call in tumbling brook and waterfall. He trembled when his woods were pale, and bowed beneath the autumn gale, and when his vocal reeds were stirred, his melancholy moan was heard. Far down against the mountain's feet, the banner heard the wild waves beat, then turned his glances to the north, sprang from the peak, and bounded forth. The mountain felt a fearful shock, and trembled through his mass of rock. The tallest trees were crushed and rent, and headlong to the valley sent. And as the rocking shook each cave, loud was the roar the lions gave. Forth from the shaken cavern came fierce serpents with their tongues aflame, and every yaksha wild with dread, and Kinnor and Gandharva fled. End of Cantos 51 to 56.